Welcome home. We are back in Catonsville. We are doing all things a cup of soup or bowl. This Crab Cake Row, the Crab Cake Tour extension. It is our big game week. We're going to be at Hollywood Casino on Sunday. I'm just going for Taylor Swift. I mean, that's the only reason I'm going to be there. Bill Cole's riding shotgun here today. We are in Catonsville at State Fair. I see, what kind of cereal is that? Some sort of peanut butter cereal? What's going on in there? Minestrone soup. We got all sorts of things. Peanut butter is like a real big thing. And black beans and beans in general for the Maryland Food Bank. I have Carmen here. He told me all the things that they want to donate, and sure enough, it cost us on Tuesday. I looked, there was all this weird stuff, and it was every single thing he told me to donate. So people do go out to the Maryland Food Bank site. They do pay attention to directions. I'm not one of them. Everybody knows I don't follow directions. And they're listening, so I appreciate that. State Fair till 5, Pappas all day Friday. Bill Cole's with us each and every week. He sort of inspired the community and charity series back after my wife's illness. I forgot your mug today, dude, but I wind up inviting Chris Schaefer from Sharp Dressed Man, who couldn't be here. He winds up sending one of the newest Sharp Dressed Men, who's very, very sharp dressed, by the way. I would have dressed better had I known. And Baltimore is such that Chris actually sat with Bill and I, about a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it probably was.
Probably up at
Perry Hall.
It was Perry Hall. We were Conrad's, right?
Yes.
Sharp Dressed Man. He is the how many guys work at Sharp Dressed Man these days besides Chris?
Just me.
Doug Shea is the newest Sharp Dressed Man.
And a host of volunteers that we're very grateful for.
Well, give me the lowdown and where we are, because I've donated to Chris. I love Chris, man. Rock and roll guy, playing the drums, doing a skateboard thing. He's really unique cat. I love having him on the program. I love his vision for what he tried to do. But there was a vision beyond this about a sense of purpose for pride for men, getting a job for men, having some dignity, and saying, if that job takes a suit and I don't have a suit, I can't get an interview, and I want to show well, right? First impression is the most important impression, right?
Absolutely. So these gentlemen are, men who have invested in themselves. They want to be a part of the community, and when they come out of that dressing room with one of their new suits on and the look on their face when they see themselves in the mirror, can't beat it.
Look, I get when I put a suit on, I'm like, damn, you sharp.
I mean, all of us there every Wednesday when we volunteer. By the way, if anyone wants to come down, 250 West Dickman Street, every Wednesday, 12 to 2. So you see these guys come out of the dressing room, and all of us, we're in shock. These suits just look so great on these guys, and they feel so good about themselves. And
a lot of guys haven't had a suit on in a long time. Who comes to you?
25 years.
Who is a Sharp Dressed Man? I mean, I'm not a customer. I'm a donor, right? I've given some of my stuff. I lost weight years ago. Chris came over to my house, like, in the early days, and he was tailoring me up because that's what he does. He's a tailor, And he was measuring me up, and he saw my closet. He's like, dude, this shit doesn't fit you, man. Like, you can't use it. Why are you wearing that? And my wife was like, my wife had been trying to get me to get rid of this. I lost my weight in 06. And this is like 12, right? It's like 6 years later. And I kept waiting to get fat again, and I didn't want to get fat again.
It doesn't look like it's happened yet.
It's 18 years. So, I mean, I had all these XL things, the things that were just going to drag, I go back to the pictures, but Chris came over, he's like, man, somebody's going to want this. Like, let me, I'll put, and somebody somewhere put on that, and I had good looking stuff, and put on a jacket and said, man, it looked good. No thought about me, only thought about the future. But I guess I take it for granted that I've always had a sport coat that I don't wear often enough, right? I mean, you know me, Bill. I got 10 sport coats in my closet. I don't wear them that much.
Did you bring them today? I can take them with me.
No, you're not taking my. These are my Robert Graham's, man. It's the real deal. People donate to you guys and with a purpose. And I'm asking for food. I even talked about coats for winter, for keeping people warm, gloves, all that kind of stuff. But getting a job and getting a place up, who comes to Sharp Dressed Man?
So we work with a lot of organizations in the area. So we're the icing on the cake, right? All of us here in the Baltimore area, we have a vested interest in making a difference in the community. So, for example, we partner with United Way of Central Maryland. They have a Veterans Court program.
I love hearing that because I had Franklin Baker on Monday afternoon.
Yeah. So you get these, people who have served our country, and of course we're talking about men, right, at this point. So they come back from serving their country. Sometimes they have those psychological traumas that lend themselves to maybe getting in trouble. So the Veterans Court, what they do is a rehabilitation program. So instead of incarceration, they go through the program, and when they graduate, they come to us. We put them in a nice suit. We have Ray of Hope organization, some different, rehabilitation homes.
People come in, they pick out one suit. That's where the beginning is, right?
Well, we pick it out for them because we take a look and we think, anyway, but yes. So we give them 1 or 2 suits. We're working now with some organizations that people have dress codes where they work, and they can't afford necessarily to have 5 nice outfits. So we'll send them away with maybe 1 or 2 suits, maybe some slacks, a couple different ties, so that they have enough that they're not going to wear the same thing over and over again. But at the end of the day, they go on these job interviews and they feel good about themselves. And when you look good and you feel good about yourself, you're going to knock that interview, out of the park, right? So these are people who want to be back in the workforce. They want to be back in the community. They want to be, and they walk out of that dressing room and they look so good. They feel good about themselves.
How many people interview with you in a suit, Bill? You're in the roofing business, right?
Not many, but
it's different for you.
I think the concept is this. So our world is crafted in a way where we don't really get to set all the rules.
Yeah, let's sit so we're comfortable here. We're comfortable here.
We don't necessarily get to set all the rules, right? But a job interview requiring a suit like there's a rule there. Whether we like it or disagree with it or agree with it doesn't really matter.
I wore a suit when I interviewed at the News America when I was 15, and they laughed at me. I walked in, I'm like, we don't worry. I've had people come in looking like you to interview on my sports radio station, and it's made me uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm more casual than that. But if you're interviewing in a bank, I mean, if you just got out of jail, if you want to show, right?
And maybe that's not required for the interview, but it sure makes that person feel really good about themselves. They see themselves and they're like, wow, I'm worth this,
That the person is entering an environment that already breeds a certain level of uncomfortableness and challenge to them, whether they're second chance guy or whatever the scenario is that they're walking into. The idea that, we have these societal rules or whatever, our ability to, the dignity I heard earlier, like the confidence, that's can be game-changing, right?
Definitely.
Game-changing to someone who is trying to figure it out. They've put all the effort in, and now they're walking through this door. And, just that little, again, like we were talking about with Adam, hey, I know I can't put my hand on your back all the time, but, we're behind you, man. It's the same thing. We believe in you, bud. You've done all these things. We want to make you look good so you believe in yourself when you walk through the door.
And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who judge a book by its cover type of thing. Well, these guys, their cover looks pretty good.
Sure.
I want to talk about Chris a little bit because he's not here to defend himself. But Bill,
yeah, let's talk about Chris.
Bill, you're in a roofing, and I know you well enough that you've given second chance people opportunities. You've had employment situations that are under your roofing, things that you can give people an opportunity to feed their family, give them dignity, give them a chance up, or if they don't have a college, whatever it would be, right? Chris, meanwhile, is a tailor and thinking about, what he could use his skill set for, right? He's got this skill set to make dudes look good. He makes suits and whatnot. I don't know what point he made that connection that his skill set in fixing up a beaten-up suit, which I'm sure is where this thing started, is a hand-me-down and let me fix this up and make you look a little better,
so
right? Tailor.
His clients have these old suits, and what are we going to do? Just throw them in the landfill? Or Chris has always been an entrepreneur, visionary, and he had this vision.
He really is. He's a visionary. He's a weird.
I can make anyone.
He's got a lot of things going on.
Of
Chris
course,
is great, man.
Absolutely. I've known him since we were 5 years old. So.
Do tell. Where'd you grow up together then?
We did in Glen Burnie. He would have skateboard festivals, and WHFS would end up showing up a year or two later, and it became an event versus just. So he's always working on this next thing, but this has been consistent for over 10 years now. But he saw a need with his own business of all these suits to recycle them, and what's the best way to do it?
He had a skill set that he gave back.
Give back to the community, make people feel, again, the dignity and respect that they deserve. And then they're contributing members of society versus, it eliminates recidivism or hopefully, reduces it, right? But
sure.
So,
well, if they don't get the job, right, then, right?
It's all about all the legs on the stool, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about all the different ways. And that was, I think, some of the overarching idea around 100 charities and what we're going to do it this week and all that stuff. It's just exposing the fact, and, Adam was giving us a hard time because we need to talk more positive about everything because there's good stuff to talk about. So we do need to be reminded of that, right? And I think this is another example of just people, to your point about Chris, finding a way to take their skill set and have it have impact across, all classes, all people, all groups, and getting the meaning from that for him. That's super
I was blown
wonderful.
away when I went down to the play. It was the original location. You've since moved. Where are you now?
West Dickman Street.
Where is
so it's right off of 95. You cut off on, I think it's the Route 2 where that
I
bridge
remember
is.
when he was in the Fells Point,
Right.
Harbor East area, where he had his incident. He had
His own shop, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this area now is sponsored by the Kevin Plank Foundation, Under Armour. So this whole entire building is full of organizations like ourselves that
Well, I
are
remember
trying
he
to
had a
give back
lot of
to the
suits.
community.
I went there up the steps a couple years ago. It was the day my wife got her COVID shot, so that would tell you. And she was her first COVID. So early 21, we had masks on. My wife had her COVID breakdown in his office. Like she got a shot, and then she's like, I'm feeling sick. You know, it was that overnight.
Yeah.
She didn't have COVID, but I remember being in his place, and I had been there a couple years before because he had sort of a jam thing with a band in his space, and I just saw all of his clothes, and I'm like, my God, dude,
Yeah.
because I thought of Sharp Dressed Man when I first met Chris maybe 10, 12 years ago. It was like, that's nice. You'll have a couple of 48 larges and a couple. No, dude. It was like being in a Sims men's warehouse. I mean, it was like.
It's even better. So
thousands of jackets maybe at this point, right?
Actually
Literally?
dressed almost 12. By the end of this year, we'll be up past 12,000 men
12,000
that have
men
been
have
suited.
got jackets.
I just picked up
That's
about.
a lot. Think of 12,000 sport coats. That's crazy. That's a lot of sport coats, man.
These are nice quality garments, right? I just picked up 50 suits from Morgan Stanley Investments, Wealth Management in Lutherville. They do these clothing drives.
They look as nice as this.
Oh,
Well, not as good as you look in it,
sometimes
but, you
even.
know.
Listen, my first day volunteering there, I walk in and this guy, he looked amazing, very sharp. He was a volunteer, dressing others. At the end of the day, I found that he himself, just 3 weeks prior, was one of the people that we dressed, and he was so inspired by it that he is now coming every Wednesday to volunteer his time.
Yeah. Well, look, I have a question. If Chris were here right now, I'm working with a group called There Goes My Hero. They helped save my wife's life. I had Michelle on the other day. I'm looking at Dave Grohl. You see Dave back there? Mm-hmm. There's Dave. There's Courtney. There. Well, he's dead, so he doesn't know. But Dave's
I thought
alive.
that was a picture of Chris.
That's Dave.
No,
right?
that's, yeah.
Does look a little like
does
right?
So there's Dave Grohl, right? I often
Chris.
wonder. It's a goal of mine. It's a bucket. I'll say this out loud to you, Bill, because you keep track of my dreams and visions.
This is already on the record. You've already gone public with this, but go ahead.
Yeah, let's
I
hear it
want
again.
Dave Grohl to know about "There Goes My Hero" because he wrote the song "There Goes My." Right. So I'm wondering, does Billy Gibbons know about Sharp Dressed Man?
How can you help us make that happen?
There you go. I've met Billy Gibbons in my life. There you go.
Send me his email address.
That would be the ultimate if Billy Gibbons knew about it and said, God damn, you boys up in Baltimore, you doing how many suits you do off my song? You know, I would just think Billy I'll say this. I don't say I've said this out loud. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of rock stars, right? I was a music critic back in the day. And my wife, we were courting and we're talking about my past. She's like, who are the nicest guys? And I'm like, man, the guys in ZZ Top were like the nicest guys I ever interviewed. You know what I mean? And I know we lost Dusty, but I thought they were the nicest guys. They refused to have me do the interview ahead of time. And I remember their publicist was the same publicist as Stevie Ray Vaughan. And he was an Irish guy. And he's like, the boys want to meet you. They will not do, the advance. You must come after the show. And I'm like, all right. So they left me backstage passes, and I thought they'd blow me up. Dude, I was dating a girl. They invited us back into their dressing room. They offered me cheap sunglasses because they were getting the prescriptions. They were the nicest guys in the world. So if I got a hold of Billy Gibbons, I have a feeling he would think it's cool.
Sharp Dressed Man.
He would at least think it's cool.
If you Google Sharp Dressed Man, ZZ Top shows up. So if you're going to Google us, do Sharp Dressed Man Baltimore.
Like this?
Right.
Like that. I think it is.
Sharp Dressed Man Baltimore.
I feel like this is going to happen.
Well, it just gave me an idea. That's all.
I
Just an
like
idea,
this.
you know?
I like this idea.
Maybe he'd want to jam with Chris.
One other thing we do there, and I want to throw this in, just another thing about how all of us coming together in the community makes such a difference. Jason Toll of Charm City Barber, he's been coming for over 6 years, 2 hours, giving free haircuts. We actually have a barber shop in our new location, and Jason comes every Wednesday and gives. So we put them in the suit, give them a nice haircut, shave them up. It's all part of it. It's.
You saying I need a haircut?
So how long?
Are you saying I need a haircut?
How long total has this been happening?
Sharp Dressed Man has been over about 10 years now.
10 years.
Yep.
So if you don't think that supporting a man's dignity, right, or ability to be self-confident If you don't think there is substance to that, like there's no way this sort of thing goes on for 10 years,
Sometimes the clothes
right?
do not
like,
make the man, but
right.
sometimes they make the job, man. You know, like they make it happen for somebody.
It gives them that confidence and self-respect and dignity they need to
I
feel they're
feel it
worthy
when I
of.
shave, even though I didn't today, and I put
we
something
see that.
nice on.
Right.
No, even when I just go
this
shopping and
is
put
not
something on
even
that I don't buy.
This
you know?
isn't even
like,
a conversation that as men we're even like allowed to have.
right.
Right. This is.
Do
like,
I look good?
Or like, am I self-confident?
my hair back up while
do
we
I
talk about
feel
it.
dignity? You know,
I thought he was making
like
a
we just
wisecrack.
don't even have this sort of conversation, and just to be able to reinforce the fact that if you think it isn't powerful, right? For 10 years, the barber. Everything. I mean, it just is a super powerful,
and we're talking
real
about
thing.
veterans who have served their
Right.
country that
Right.
need that, that little bit of nudge and that help to get back in. So
Doug Shea's here. Is Sharp Dressed Man. Bill Cole's here from Cole Roofing. What's the ask? What can people do? Just give jackets, right? I mean, find the 3 or 4 I have in my rack I don't need, and find Chris.
sharpdressedman.org. Our address is on there. We have a weatherproof shed where you can make donations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also accept, just shirts, any business attire.
Business attire.
We're in need
You
of
want
belts
business attire.
and shoes.
Do you suspenders, man?
We have some there. Do you want?
I was at an event last week, and a dude was there, and I saw the tabs. I have some. I don't have many more because I lost weight. My old pants back in the it was a '90s thing. I like that look. I mean, I just do. I like that look. I would bring the suspenders look back for me.
One other thing we have is called the Sharp Dress Van. So we actually have, imagine a van the size of an Amazon delivery van, and we go out and we have mobile events where we go out into the community and dress those people. So if anyone wants to send us a gift card for Exxon, that's a tangible donation that will fuel the vehicle. This vehicle fueled by XY,
Could be Royal Farms too.
So any place
Royal
we
Farms,
any place.
yeah, right.
But so at this point,
There's a couple people we know in that category. Yeah, there's some good connections.
Obviously, it does take a few dollars to gas up the van and some other administrative things. But yes, the clothing, the shoes, belts, shirts, like I said, gift cards to nearest gas station for our mobile van. We have an event.
There's a rumor Schaefer's like smoking a cigar and riding a skateboard in Santa Monica right now.
No, I just took his call a few minutes ago. He said looking out at Venice Beach with the cigar on his
Venice
balcony.
Beach.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Blue skies.
Tell him
sun's
I got
out.
a spot. I'll send him up in Santa Monica. All right.
I said, don't worry. I'll go on this show and.
You did a good job.
Make you look.
You did do a good job.
Appreciate you, man.
you.
SharpDressedMan.org. Bill Cole here. I am Nestor.
Thanks, everyone.
We're hanging. I have to get him out of here by 3 o'clock. What are we doing next? I'm doing National Kidney Foundation. You're doing
Sisters Academy of Baltimore.
Sisters Academy of Baltimore. All right. Bill's going to be here until at least 4 o'clock or until I give him some free soup. I am Nestor. We are WNST. Come see us at State Fair. Bring us some canned goods and have a cup of soup or bowl.